Now in part 3 of the promotion and tenure timeline, we're going to look at a graphical view of two mythical hires at South Georgia State College. John Smith and Jane Doe, supposedly hired in 2015, but again, these are mythical people. They don't exist. Let's take a look first at John Smith. Supposedly, he was hired to teach history as an instructor in 2015. That would never happen because John Smith has a Master's of Education from VSU, and John Smith would need a Master's in History, or at least 18 graduate semester hours in history. No evidence that he's got that, so this is truly mythical. But let's move on and say that he was hired as an instructor. Well, you notice that in year 3 he's eligible to apply for promotion, because according to the handbook you have to serve 3 years as an instructor. Now notice the red here, providing requirements to the right are met. So the handbook also says that an instructor needs an earned doctorate or a master's degree with 3 years of successful full-time experience and 54 semester hours or 81 quarter hours of a planned program beyond the bachelor's degree. Now, in this scenario, we find that John Smith has these credentials, so he's promoted to assistant professor in August 2018. Then, in 2021, on year 7, John Smith is eligible to apply for promotion to associate professor, provided the requirements at the right are met, which includes a master's degree or a doctorate. In the case of a master's degree, 7 years successful full-time experience, so that's year 7. He's eligible to apply at the beginning of the year, provided he has 70 semester hours beyond the bachelor's degree. Well, in this scenario, we find that he does. So he's promoted to associate professor, but also because he has served 5 years at the assistant professor level or higher, having been promoted to assistant professor in 2018, he's eligible at the beginning of 2022 in year 8 to apply for tenure, and therefore he is tenured in 2023, which is a good thing because in 2024 he would have to leave the institution had he not been tenured, had he not bothered to apply for and receive tenure. Quite interesting. Now notice that post-tenure review kicks in year 14. Now post-tenure review is supposed to occur 5 years after the most recent promotion or personnel action. But once again, he did not face post-tenure review 5 years after being promoted to assistant professor, because in the interim he was promoted to associate professor. The clock would have started there, but then he received tenure the next year, so that stopped the clock on post-tenure review. It restarted at that point, and so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 years after being tenured, he goes through post-tenure review. Now, one thing you see is that he never was promoted to professor, and the simple reason for that is that he never got a doctorate. So that's quite clear from these requirements. So that makes a lot of sense. Now let's take a look at Jane Doe. Jane Doe is in a similar situation, but not completely identical. We have a timeline here, but she was hired as assistant professor because she has a PhD. Tenure track. Therefore, on beginning of year 5, Jane Doe is eligible to apply for tenure. She does have the doctorate, so she doesn't have to worry about the 54-hour requirement because she already has the doctorate. So she's tenured in August 2020, eligible to apply for promotion to associate professor. Again, she does have more than the 70 semester hours. She has more than the master's degree. She has the doctorate. So she's promoted to associate professor in year 7. She's tenured in August 2020 because she applied in year 5, 2019, which is a good thing because had she not applied, she would be out of a job here because of the tenure deadline. Post-tenure review was delayed because she was promoted to associate professor. The clock started all over again. So after 5 years, she's due for post-tenure review. Because she has a doctorate, in year 12, year 12 of her service from the assistant professor position on, she's eligible to apply for professor, and she's promoted in year 13, 2027. So it's all very, very understandable. And we've answered the question whether John Smith is eligible for promotion to professor. No, not until he receives a doctorate degree. And according to the timeline, he never did get a doctorate degree. So that is pretty much the end of the presentation. If you take an instant survey that's here, linked from the presentation, or if you go to your email box, you'll see a link from me to this survey. We'd like you to complete this survey now that you've looked at this presentation. It will help us with future presentations in the FAME series.